Yep, we're rolling. So another fragrance review, kind of following on from the Rasasi Hawas that I've just done. This is another clone, but by a different house. This is again another Lattafa one, and it's called Lattafa Liam Blue Shine, albeit on this bottle it just has Liam. So on the box and when I bought it, it's Lattafa Liam Blue Shine. But this is just on the bottle Liam, and it's an EDP. So going over the notes, bear with me, lost my page, there we are. So yeah, Liam Blue Shine EDP, and it's believed to be a clone of Armani Aqua Profundo. Now I've smelled Aqua the EDT. I've owned I think 2 bottles back in the day when I went through my early 20s Armani phase. I've not smelt Profundo, but I know it's not much different than Aqua It's kind of like a nuanced version. I have more recently smelled Aqua either Lattafa or EDP, which is like a superior version of the original in terms of the performance and the radiance. The radiance is similar. So in that aspect, I've smelled this before, but not the exact flanker version, i.e. the Profundo. So I can't say if it's like 100% accurate, but I will say that it does smell a lot like Aqua and it's slightly better performance in the EDT. Maybe not so much as the EDP or Parfum version that I mentioned that I've more recently smelled in Boots, just as you know, sometimes I go in there and just smell the fragrances, and I've never heard of an Aqua Parfum EDP, so that was a new one to me. Anyway, so we'll go on to the notes and then put it on the skin, finish the review. Oh, and the price ranges from like early 20s or like 19 something pound to £30. So again, like most clones, they range, you know, anywhere from 20 to £40 on average, and this is the 100ml as well. So top notes are made up of bergamot, rosemary and pepper. Middle, sea notes and violet, and the base musk, amber and patchouli. So basic, but again, that's not always a bad thing. So EDP, 3 sprays onto the skin. Being careful because I'm next to a big fan, so I don't want to spray it and go in my face. That's happened before. Yeah, so very pleasant. Again, it has that sort of citrusy, watery, aquatic blue vibes of the Aqua off of the top, it just reminds me straight away of Aqua. One thing I will say though, unlike say the Hawas Rasasi that I've just done actually, but which will be uploaded obviously before this one, the performance on that was excellent, which is a clone of like a Paco Rabanne / Jean Paul Gaultier Ultra Male. This one sits a lot closer to the skin. Again, reviews that I've seen online for this Lattafa Blue Shine, they all unanimously say like the scent profile is excellent, which I agree. Aqua is very popular. I think it's one of the most popular Armani fragrances, still is to this day. So yeah, it is very nice. For whatever reason on my skin, not very radiant. I'd say within an hour it dies down to a skin scent, at least on me, and unanimously a lot of the reviews online say the same, which is a shame. But I believe that Aqua the original, was exactly the same. Within an hour, even as an EDT, it was a skin scent and then it faded down. However, one thing I will say is that I remember when I used to apply the Aqua that first hour was amazing projection, especially when I heated up. And obviously, as I mentioned before, it's very hot in the UK, so having a sort of an aquatic, watery, blue, summery sort of fragrance would be ideal, hence why I purchased this one. So yeah, it's very nice. It has a kind of like, I don't want to say a smoky dark edge in the background, because it's very citrus top heavy. Having said that, even now I'm struggling to get in there. I've done the 3 sprays. It is very flat on my skin, which is a shame because the actual smell profile is very nice. It's just a pure citrusy summer kind of beach party going out vibes. Again, in my opinion, because again I've not smelt Profundo. I think I have smelt, there is another one that the name escapes me, which is an Aqua di Gio flanker that I've smelt before. It's in a blue bottle, where I think Profundo is the black one. I know there's so many different flankers now, but going back to, as I say, what I draw comparison to, what I've smelt before and owned a bottle of, is Aqua di Gio by Armani. However, the performance and the radiance isn't quite as good as the original Aqua di Gio. Again, I know that they've reformulated, and the caveat that it has in comparison as well, which isn't a good one, is the performance isn't very good. Obviously the Parfum, or the EDP, I've smelt more recently in Boots, which was very radiant, much like Aqua di Gio, but I believe that it lasted a bit longer on my skin, because by design an EDP, Parfum should do that over the EDT version. So if anything, I would say this is more of like a clone of the original Aqua di Gio, but lacks the performance off of my skin. So it's a shame really, because the actual smell profile is excellent, and in terms of smelling as a clone, like let's say a 1-to-1 of Aqua di Gio, it's very close, but just the performance really lets it down. Like again, I only put 3 sprays on it. It's not like I've gone nose blind to it. I just have to really get in there to appreciate it. One thing I will say, and I've mentioned this in the past, sometimes putting these onto clothing is actually better than directly onto the skin, and I kind of do a mixture. Most people do, you know, like when you spray under the neckline, off of the shoulders, chest area, maybe some people do behind the ears, or back of the neck, whatever. I think you get a bit more longevity and performance out of the clothing than the skin, which is, it's a shame, because I do really like the smell profile of this. Again, I owned a bottle of Aqua di Gio original in the past. I was originally going to give this a 7 out of 10, and I might have to actually lower that, which is a shame, because I do like the original Aqua di Gio. I was going to give this a 7 out of 10. I'm actually going to change that to a 6.5, purely based on the fact that the performance lets it down. If the performance was better, I would maybe raise it to like a 7.5. But being, in all honesty, I'm not going to bullshit or lie, or say it's beast mode on me when it isn't. Word of warning, I would say hammer this on, get it on close. The smell profile is excellent, and if you like Aqua di Gio, and if you're after like a kind of summery beach sort of aquatic blue fragrance, this does tick that box. It's an Aqua di Gio clone. There's lots of flankers as well, but yeah, it can't go any more than a 6.5. Again, the price is decent, the smell profile is good, but the radiance and performance just on my skin, again, it's just very lacking. I'm really having to get in there, which is a shame. It really is, because if it had the performance and radiance, as I say, I'd give it a 7.5, maybe even an 8 if it, you know, the performance and radiance were excellent, which they're not in this instance. So again, word of warning with buying this. Again, it is a good clone of Aqua di Gio, but this Liam Blue Shine, the performance isn't great. So 6.5 out of 10, nothing more can say. Just disappointed really. So yeah, there we go. Liam Blue Shine by Lattafa, a clone of Aqua di Gio, or Aqua di Gio Profundo, 6.5 out of 10.